Hi everyone, welcome back. I have Superstar, Screen Time and Crazy Antics Lawn Fawn stamps here today, and I'm going to create again I'm doing some masking for this to create a nice background to go with my Aladdin inspired flying carpet ride card thing. I don't know what I'm calling it, but I love that movie like so many of you, and so I was just thinking of how to work the masking bit out. So basically whatever's going to be in front is what you stamp first. So you will first ink, then stamp when I get there your first image, and then what you'll do is you will stamp onto the post-it notes. That's why the post-it notes are there, the little blue things. But I realized there was something not right with my stamp, and I thought, I'm sure I've used the stamp before, so I cleaned it off really well, and then realized there was some goop on it or something. So you see on his face, it's just not, his face wasn't right. So I just turned it over because I hadn't really gone that far, so I thought it's not too big a deal. Turned it over and started again, basically. So I stamped him in place, much better, and then forgot that I needed to actually stamp him onto the post-it note. So I just did that quickly before I do her. So what you want to do is in between, so you stamped your first image, now you need to make your mask, and so these are very easy to actually cut out, so I didn't worry too much. I would say that cut sort of into the black lines of the image for your mask rather than right on the edge, because you'll land up with more of a white line when you go to ink over the top. So yeah, it just gives you a better coverage of, you know, when you go to ink around it. And then so I've masked him up, now I'm going to stamp her on, and I'm just trying to get her where I think the positioning would be quite nicely. And then again I'm going to stamp her onto a post-it note and cut her out as well, so that I can mask her up. I've got to say, these two characters actually lend themselves really nicely to this little flying carpet thing because they're both sitting down, and the way that they're sitting down. So these two are from Screen Time. What I'm going to use as the carpet is from Crazy Antics, and then I won't tell you the sentiment yet, but the little speech bubble that I'm going to use is from the can't remember what it's called, Stargate. Anyway, from the other stamp set. So I've masked her up, and then I've stamped my little, what's going to be my flying carpet. And then I thought while I was there, I would just get the speech bubble in, because I don't need to mask the speech bubble to get the next image on. I will still need to mask all of these, but I didn't need to mask him while I was doing it because he's in a completely different place. And then the sentiment says make a wish, which I thought was apt for this. So again, just cutting out all the masks that I have left, one for the little carpet, and then for the speech bubble, couldn't think of the word. Not difficult cutting out. Speech bubble's just a little bit smaller, so it's maybe a little trickier to hold on to, but it wasn't too bad. So now we've got our mask in place, so now we can start to ink. No, we're not inking yet. We're going to get our starry background. So I decided I wanted to use, and I do change this out in a minute, the Star Turnabout by Concord and Ninth. I have had this for a long time and I still haven't used it, which is shocking. But I dragged out my Tim Holtz stamp platform on the clear side, because it was a much bigger area and you kind of need quite a large stamp platform for this, and you do need a stamp platform for this particular stamp set, and these Concord and 9 turnabouts. I've done other videos on this, so the other videos probably explain it a bit better than I'm going to do right now, but I was having some issues and I haven't done this for a long time. So there is a guide that comes with them now. The older ones you'd have to buy these guides, but what I'm doing is using, because the stamp has got this weird, it's like cut out in the middle, which is nice because you've got two lots of types of stars. If you didn't want to put all of them on, I'm going to use all of them, of course, but I used a guide as a guide to get them lined up before I actually get them onto the platform. And then the idea is that you will place these, place your cardstock in, stamp it once, turn your cardstock to the left, say, and stamp it again, and then you rotate it basically 4 times, and eventually it covers the whole background. Now, the easiest way to do this is on a piece of cardstock that is 6 by 6. My brain just can't work it out as well with when it's a smaller piece. I'm sure Concord and Ninth have already figured all this stuff out for you guys, like if it's a standard A2 size card, that kind of thing, or a different size card. So I just used this guide as a guide, got the cross in the middle, roughly in the middle of my piece of cardstock, and then just rolled with it, and used it as a guide as far as where to place it temporarily on the platform. So I'm now going to anti-static the background. I'm going to ink up the stamp with some Versamark ink, stamp it down, and then I'm going to use a Cosmic Shimmer Sparkle. I think it's the Sparkle one. Embossing powder. It's like a clear embossing powder, but it's got lots of sparkle in it. And when you're heat embossing it and doing it this way, you kind of need to do each layer as you go. So I went off, did the embossing on that one, came back, and then I used the guide again as a guideline to line up that stamp at that sheet, turned the cardstock so I could do the next layer. And basically I did the same thing. So the next one, when I turned it, it would be, the images would be upside down. But as you're turning, what you're doing is creating, you're like adding those stars into the gaps that are there. So hopefully this makes a little bit of sense. But I did also have trouble with my heat tool, so I went off camera and just finished that off. But I just carried on going round and round and round till I had filled it all in. So for the background, I've got Wilted Violet, Blueprint Sketch, and Chipped Sapphire Distress Oxide inks. And the cardstock I've actually got, I forgot to say, is a Bristol Smooth cardstock, and it is divine for distress inks. It just glides. If you're having trouble, look at your cardstock. I will pick up any piece of paper and just try it. That's just what I do. But this cardstock is, oh my hat, one of my favorites for this, and also for your zigs. It's just so divine to use for these colouring mediums, I guess you'd call them. So just getting with a ink blending tool and just blending on. Now, because distress inks by nature are very reactive to moisture, I actually grab a piece of cardstock. You've seen this probably in thousands of my, well, not thousands, but a load of my videos. It just keeps your fingers out the ink, because otherwise you'll end up leaving fingerprints in there, and it doesn't aid to the look that you're going for. So yeah, so I've got the Chipped Sapphire right at the top, and then just again blending between all 3 colours just to get a nice blend on. And it works really, really nicely. Like I say, the Bristol Smooth is just the best when it comes to smooth cardstock. It just works so beautifully. And then what I decided to do was to bring in some distress ink in black soot, but just in the normal oh no, I'm going to spritz first, I beg your pardon. So I've spritzed with some water like I do, and then I'm going to also use some this is the Ranger, it's in a Cosmic Shimmer bottle, but it's a Ranger Perfect Pearl in Perfect Pearl colour, so it's like a white shimmer spray. And so it's very subtle, but it's there, and I just thought that all the shimmer and the splatter and the embossed stars, they're all sparkly as well. It all adds to this sort of nighttime, if you're up in amongst all the stars. Very, very romantic. Just gotta say that. And there's our dub dude on the back. But anyway, so I just thought it added really nicely to like this sort of there's just this beautiful night sky, so I added them in there. And now I think once I've dried it off, I think this is where I bring in some black soot distressing in the regular distressing. You can use them together, so don't worry about that. But I also find that the distress inks, as opposed to the oxides, are much more vibrant. The oxides have got more of a chalky look to them, which is stunning in itself. But I just think for something like this, I like the black soot being more black on there, as opposed to a chalky sort of look. And then I took the paper towel and just rubbed over the top to get the excess ink off those stars, those raised areas, and it made a big difference. I didn't think it was going to do anything really, but it did make quite a lot of difference, so I was really chuffed with that. And then I'm going to peel off all the masks. Now don't throw the masks away, keep them with your stamps, and you can use them over and over again until they run out of stick. So all I do is I just stick them on the back where the image is, and then just pop them back in the sleeve. So the same with these two, just putting these two back, and then I'll put them to the back of the stamp set. I've got a couple on the front there, you can do that too, but sometimes I like to see what the actual image is, because sometimes once you've used the masks a few times they do get a little bit grungy looking. You can't always make out exactly what they are, even though they're there. So what I also did is I went in and tweaked a few things and made them look more like Princess Jasmine and Aladdin. So I added her band on her head, I don't know what you would call it, and made her outfit into more of what she would be wearing. And then on him, he's got like a waistcoat type thing and like a waistband sort of thing. Is that what they call it? So and I don't know if this is the right name for it, so please let me know. But is it a fedora, the little like hat thing that he's got on? And I totally wiped out and forgot that that's what he was wearing. So I sort of make it work. Obviously I would have tried to have done that beforehand, because it's sticking above his head. I would have taken some of that ink off before I'd stamped, just so it didn't look like it was actually going through his head. But we'll make it work and it'll be fine. So I got and I had a picture of this up so that I could see the colours. So her outfit's got this sort of aqua colour, his waistcoat and the carpet have got this sort of more purpley look to them, and his trousers and his like waistband thing are more brown tones, and then red. I'll bring that in a minute for his little hat. I don't know what the right word for it is. Anyway, so I also decided that I started off with lighter colours for her hair, and I really didn't like it because I think her hair is more, I want to say it's more on the sort of, she's got black hair, isn't she, I think, or very dark brown. So yeah, I kind of rolled with it at this point, because again I thought I'd messed up, but it's fine. So I then got his hair. I know his hair's brown, I think. I'm pretty sure his hair was brown. But anyway. And then just some very simple colouring for all of it really, and including like his little trousers. They were sort of in a more beigey sort of brown. And then their skin tones. I'm not very good with skin tones and like hair and things like that. So I went back in and sort of darkened around the edges and that. And then also realised that his little arms had, like in the original stamp, he's got like a, I suppose like a little outfit on. So I needed to get rid of what would have been the arm, the like long sleeve part of his outfit. So I try and make that work with just a white gel pen. In real life you can see it much more. So you'll see in a bit, I'll actually get the like a Sakura gold gel pen. It's like got a gold glitter in it, and I'll use that, and I sort of add a bit of jewelry to her and trying to tweak his armband thing, so I put some jewelry on him too. I mean, why not? So yeah. So also the red on the little hat for him is I went as dark as I could, and it sort of works. And then I added a little what do you call it, enamel dot to her band. So this is, I believe, a 4.5 by 6-ish inch card, and so I had a 9 by 6 inch piece of cardstock, folded it 4.5, and then I actually trimmed down this piece of the main panel just so that I had a little bit of a border around the edges. And I'm going to use some foam tape just to pop that whole thing up on there. I just thought that was a nice touch because everything else is completely flat. I know you've got the embossing on there, but it's mostly flat. And so I just thought this would add another, just a bit of fun to it, just to raise the whole panel up. But it's one big image scene, but it's, because of what it is, it's very simple. It's very, very simple to do. So, and if you don't have like the starry background stamp, don't worry, just use the splatter from water and things like that. You'll get a nice sparkly background and like a starry night. There's tons of videos on how to create like galaxy backgrounds and that sort of thing, and you could do the same thing without having like an embossed starry background, and do something very similar. So this is where I'm taking that gold gel pen. I made jewelry, let's just leave it there. But it was to hide a couple of these that just in real life, when you're close up, it looks a bit naff. But in the end, I think it looked okay, and the thought is there that this is my little, I suppose, Arabian Nights. Is that what it is? My little ode to Aladdin and Jasmine. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm going to try and get the angle right so that you can see a bit of the shimmer. The shimmer itself is very, very subtle, like I said, and so is the sparkly bits of the stars, but I think that's also because my heat tool was playing up, so I think I just over embossed things, so I think I might need to get a new one. But it's very subtle, but it's there, and it just adds so much like texture in the background. It's very pretty. So I hope you've enjoyed this, guys, and I hope that you find inspiration in some of your favorite films. Animation is quite a good one to play around with. Yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.